Welcome everyone. First, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Nolan Insurance, Sully's Sporting Good LLC, Agnesian Healthcare, Snow Law SC, Waupun Rotary Club, WW Electric Motors, A Friend of Warp, Rust-Oleum, and Mike's Wild Boar. Starting off here, we have hole 1 long. It's about 300 feet. You want to throw it just to the left of the tree up by the short tee pad. Usually a straight to understable mid-range or fairway driver will do. You just want to land it below the baskets in that open area there. Going for the baskets is a little risky here because there's a mandel to the left of the walking path which you want to stay out of. The short pad here is a completely different look. You're not going to need the fairway drivers like on the long pad, but you may need to pull out a mid-range if you're going for the long pin in this position. Make sure to stay left of the mando you'll see here on the right. If you're going for the short pin, you usually just have to throw a high sky ante with either a putter or a mid-range. If you're going for the long pin, there is a narrow straight at it gap, but you usually want to throw some sort of stable mid-range or a putter on an Anheuser line that'll flex out at the end. It's also important to note that you can land in the walking path off to the right as long as you make the mando. This used to be OB but has been recently switched. Hole 2 is one of Warp DGC's more unique holes. There is a high Anheuser local route you can try and take with a fairway or a mid, but you got to be careful that you make sure you hit the mando, which is up here next to the short pin. The much safer option is just to get it up to the corner where the drop zone is. You can even try and make a forehand shot around the corner to get yourself a little extra distance. If you're throwing from the short pad, it's almost always better to take the local route than it is to go onto the fairway. The Anheuser shot usually requires a stable putter or a mid-range if you're going for the short pin, maybe something a little more understable if you're going for the long pin. On the left here, you can see that there's a drop zone in case you do make it into the water on the left, but this rarely comes into play unless your disc fades out really early. It's also important to note on this hole, there were some more changes made. The sign does say that the entire wooded area on the right of the tee pad is a mando, but that is not the case. It is only the tree that is marked mandatory. Hole 3 long is a blind shot for both the short and the long pin. If you're going for the short pin, you're going to want to throw a very stable mid-range or even a very stable fairway driver. It's actually very hard to get to the left of this basket. If you're going for the long pin, you want something that is going to stand up straight and then just fade out at the last second. It looks like it's a lot further to the left than it really is. Hole 3 short can be a little bit deceiving. It is very short. It's a basic approach shot. But if you see that big tree right in the middle of the fairway, it does like to claim a lot of discs. You can either decide to go left of that with a neutral putter or a mid-range. You don't want to fade out too early. Or you can go the big hyzer route and go to the right of that tree. The long pin, on the other hand, requires a little bit more neutral shot. You just want to throw your straightest disc down there, get it close. Don't go too far. There is a lot of buckthorn back there. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward shot. 4 long is the newest addition to the course and is every bit as challenging as hole 4 short. The short pin requires a right-handed flick or a backhand ante with either a putter or a mid-range. The long pin is a lot more difficult on this hole because you almost have to come backwards to get to it. Your best bet is just to try to get to the short pin and hope you have a decent putt at the long basket. Hole 4 short is a super straight putter shot. You just got to hit the main gap between the two trees down the fairway. Easier said than done. There's a little bit of wiggle room on both the left and the right side, and actually there's a little bit of a local route to the right of these two trees. If you're going for the long pin, though, it becomes a little bit more difficult because it's back and to the right. If you don't have a forehand, this can make it a little bit trickier because you need to turn the disc over about halfway down the fairway and have it finish to the right as opposed to the left. And the pin that you're looking at here is actually the long pin position. The camera's actually hovering over the short pin position. This too has a supposed local hyzer route, but it can be kind of difficult with all the small branches and leaves. Hole 5 is easily the longest hole on the course, and with it comes a little bit of a water hazard. If you want to stay clear of this water hazard, there's a local hyzer route to the right that'll put you just out into the fairway for a nice upshot. Otherwise, you can take the fairway. Most people like to make sure that they throw understable so the disc lands to the right. If you want to risk it a little more, you can throw an anti-flex shot and it'll come back into the fairway nicely, granted that you don't fade too far and go into the marsh. Hole 5 short is a lot safer than hole 5 long. It offers a couple more possibilities too. You can throw an anhyzer shot down the fairway. You don't have to worry so much about the marsh. It is a little bit more dry closer to the fairway. Otherwise, if you really want to be safe, you can take a local straight to fade route through the trees on the right. If you're going for the long pin, the gap is much more narrow. You can lay it up to the short basket, but you're going to have about 110 feet to go. The best shot, in my opinion, is just to go for it with a hyzer flip shot up the middle and hope you land in the fairway or even a little bit off to the left because it is more open than the right side. Here we have hole 6 long. You can't quite see the baskets from here, but trust me, they're to the right. If you go to the left, there are campsites, so be careful when retrieving your disc. Anyway, in regards to this shot, if you're going for the long pin, you're going to want to throw probably your most understable driver. It's very, very far to the right. Even if you're going for the short pin, you're going to want to throw something really understable. I find it hard to actually finish to the right of the basket, so don't be too worried about going too far to the right because it's definitely better than being too far left. As for the shot on hole 6 short, you're going to want to throw something that goes out and fades to the right. You want to finish to the right. Not a big anhyzer shot. You'll see the basket's just behind this tree up ahead. But if you go to the left, you're going to have to work around a couple trees while you're putting. You won't be too far away, but it's better to be right because it's more open. If you're going for the long pin, you're going to want something that finishes very, very far to the right. As you can see, it's about a 90-degree turn here, and it's probably another 140 feet from the short basket to the long basket. Some people like to think that there's a local route off to the right, but if you get stuck in there, it's absolutely jail. A 3 can easily turn into a 5, even a 6 if you're not careful. So the best bet is just to get it out in the fairway, make your approach shot, and tap in your 3. If you do play to the long pin, you're going to have to turn around and come back to make it to the next tee pad. If you continue down the path that was down there by the basket, you're going to end up walking straight down 7's fairway. Hole 7 long is nearly a dead straight shot. You got to be careful because there are a lot of trees on this hole that can kick you any which way, but you're going to want to finish just a little bit to the right. You don't want to fade out too much because then you're going to have a long putt, but if you fade out to the right too far, then you're going to end up behind a bunch of trees. So it is kind of a touch shot. If you're going for the long pin, you're going to throw another anhyzer shot with probably a fairway driver. There is a hyzer route you can take, but you just got to be careful of the trees. Hole 7 short is another one of those deceiving holes. It's 168 feet to the short pin, only 228 to the long pin. The short pin is a simple approach shot, hyzer all the way. There is a lefty hyzer route to the left of the tree in front of the tee pad, but the middle route's pretty straightforward. If you're going for the long pin, you might not want to take the fairway. There's a pretty easy hyzer route off to the right. If you go a little too long, you can get in some trouble with the trees behind the basket. Otherwise, if you're just going to take the fairway, just throw a nice easy anhyzer. Even a right-handed flake will get you there. It's just a matter of maneuvering through all the trees. One thing to note is there is a small tree on the front right edge of the tee pad, so be careful while doing your follow-through. This can intimidate some people and throw off your shots. Just something to keep in mind. Hole 8 long is another one of the longer holes on the course, but it's just as technical. If you can't make it past the gap up ahead of the short tee pad, you're going to have a lot of difficulty. If you're going for the short pin, you're going to want to throw something that you can get some turn out of, but then will fade back at the end to center. If you're going for the long pin from the long pad, you're going to want to throw a controlled turnover shot that fades to the right, but doesn't come back too much at the end. If you're playing from the short pad, you're going to have a couple more options. There's a local hyzer route off to the right you can throw with a stable putter or mid-range if you're going for the short pin. There's also the straight to fade shot directly down the middle of the fairway. If you're going for the long pin, you're going to have to go up the middle and have something that turns over, usually an understable mid-range or fairway driver. It's not too dangerous once you get down here. It's pretty open, so if you end up a little bit left or a little bit right, you're usually okay. As you can see, hole 9 long is directly on the back edge of one of the campsites, so be mindful and make sure that you stay on the fairways. If you look just on that tree to the left there, you can see the Mando sign, and that's to keep people from going around and hitting that pole shed that was to the left. Throwing down the fairway, you're going to want to throw something stable and high. Disc options can range anything from a driver to even a very stable putter. The main thing is you want to get up to this corner ahead of the short tee pad and land somewhere in the fairway. If you go a little long or a little short, you're going to have a very hard time. Playing from the short pad here, you can see local route in top left corner of your screen. That's where most people go. No one really uses the fairway from the short pad. It's a make or break hole. If you hit the gap, you can usually get out of there with a 3, no problem. If you're going for the long pin, it becomes a little more difficult. But for either pin, if you don't make it through that gap, you're almost always going to be adding a stroke or two to your card because getting stuck in that woods is terrible, especially into the summer. As far as hitting that gap, you're going to want to throw a straight stable mid-range or even a straight stable fairway driver. The main objective is just to get out into the open where you have at least a putt. The long basket, on the other hand, favors lefties a little bit more. You want to have something that'll turn to the left going out through the gap and then fade back to the right, which requires either a lefty backhand or a right-hand forehand shot. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching. I'd also like to thank our sponsors once again. I also encourage you to check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. In the summer, we hold a weekly doubles league every Sunday around 1 o'clock. Warp also has a bag tag challenge and 2 annual tournaments. During the fall, we have the Nightmare in the Warped Woods, which is a Halloween ace race costume tournament. And in the spring, we hold a Birdie Bash type tournament, which can be found online as well. These events are constantly growing, and we'd love to see you at the next one. Thanks.